That part of the world where the distance between life and death is just a single breath. Where the cold is not just weather, but a force powerful enough to challenge human survival every second. Where even breathing through the icy winds is a struggle, and the temperature drops so low that not only water, but even the air itself seems to freeze in an instant. This is the very land where the world's most powerful predator, the Siberian tiger, roams through endless dense forests. Where the world's oldest and most mysterious lake, Lake Baikal, lies hidden, and where, between frozen mountain ranges, massive volcanoes filled with boiling lava continue to burn, so dangerous that getting too close could scorch human skin within moments. This is Siberia, a region that covers nearly 77% of Russia, yet is home to only around 3% of the country's population. A place where every step leads to another unsolved mystery of nature. Did you know that some parts of Siberia remain completely buried under snow for nearly 6 months every year? And in certain villages, temperatures stay below -60 degrees Celsius for almost the entire winter. Yet people still survive here. They live with unique traditions, facing nature's harshest tests every single day. But how? Is it true that creatures buried thousands of years ago are still frozen beneath Siberia's ground? And why is Siberia often called the world's largest natural reserve? Today, we're taking you deep into the unseen and unheard stories of Siberia. A world so extreme, mysterious and breathtaking, unlike anything you've ever seen before. Siberia is not just a cold place. It is one of the largest and most complex regions on Earth. Stretching across northern Asia, it covers nearly 77% of Russia's total land area. In other words, if you truly want to understand the real scale of Russia, you first have to understand Siberia. Its territory begins from the Ural Mountains in the west and extends all the way to the Pacific Ocean in the east. From the Arctic Ocean in the north to the borders of Mongolia and China in the south, Siberia stretches across thousands of kilometers. This is not just a single state or province, it is an entire geographical world of its own. To truly grasp its size, you need to understand this. Siberia is so massive that the whole of Europe could fit inside it with room to spare. Many geography experts even consider it to be as large as, or larger than, the United States itself. Spanning around 13 million square kilometers, this land is considered one of the largest continuous land areas on Earth. But despite its enormous size, Siberia's population remains incredibly small. On average, only about 3 people live per square kilometer here, making it one of the least densely populated regions in the world. That means there are places in Siberia where you can travel hundreds of kilometers without seeing a single sign of human life. And there's another important thing that defines Siberia: time itself. The region is so vast that it stretches across multiple time zones. Russia itself spans 11 different time zones, and Siberia covers a major part of them, which means that while one part of Siberia is waking up to sunrise, another part, thousands of kilometers away, could already be deep into the night. This is not just a difference in distance, it is a difference in time itself. Now, when it comes to the cities of Siberia, the region does not have one official capital. But Novosibirsk is widely considered its largest and most influential city. Not only is it the biggest city in Siberia, but it is also the third largest city in Russia. with a population of around 1.6 million people. The city is located along the Ob River and has become a major transportation and scientific hub because of the famous Trans-Siberian Railway. Apart from this, cities like Yakutsk, Irkutsk, and Krasnoyarsk serve as important centers of life across this enormous region. But the distances between them are so vast that traveling from one city to another can sometimes take several days. The land of Siberia is just as diverse as its size. It is home to the world's largest forest biome, known as the taiga, which stretches across millions of square kilometers. Alongside it are frozen tundra plains, massive swamp regions, snow-covered mountains, and dry, icy grasslands. Western Siberia contains some of the world's largest oil and natural gas reserves, while the eastern region is rich in valuable minerals and natural resources. That is exactly why this land remains economically important, even though it is one of the harshest places on Earth for human survival. Farming in Siberia's freezing environment is nearly impossible. For most of the year, the ground remains frozen solid, making agriculture extremely difficult. Because of this, the people here do not rely on traditional farming. Instead, their lives are built around fishing, hunting, and animal herding. The rivers and lakes of Siberia, especially Lake Baikal, serve as one of the biggest sources of food for local communities. Fish are a major part of the Siberian diet, eaten fresh, dried, or frozen to survive the region's brutal climate. The coldest inhabited place in Siberia is believed to be Oymyakon, a small village located in Russia's Sakha Republic. It is one of the few inhabited places on Earth where temperatures have dropped as low as minus 71.2 degrees Celsius. And this is not ordinary cold. This is the kind of extreme where the sun may rise during winter, but its light completely fails to provide any warmth. Here, sunlight and heat have no connection at all. In a place like this, every single day is a challenge for survival. Water pipelines do not work here because they freeze almost instantly, so people cut blocks of ice, melt them down, and use that water for daily life. For bathing, water is heated in large tanks, and most toilets are built outside the house, because if pipes freeze and burst, the entire home could quickly become unlivable. Even the condition of vehicles here tells the story of how deadly the cold really is. By morning, cars are buried under thick layers of ice and snow, which people scrape away using small shovels. Sometimes the vehicles look as if they've been abandoned for years. If you leave your car parked overnight in Oymyakon, the oil, lubricants, and other fluids inside can freeze solid. And once that happens, starting the engine becomes almost impossible. In some cases, vehicles don't run again until the summer season arrives. That's why many people here never fully turn their cars off. They keep the engines running continuously just to keep them warm. Some drivers cover their vehicles with specially insulated blankets, while others use heated garages to prevent them from freezing completely. The weather here is so brutal that even food can freeze before you finish eating it outside. If you throw hot water into the air, it can turn into ice before it even touches the ground. And the vapor from your breath freezes almost instantly in the open air. But despite all of this, life here never stops. Children still go to school, people still head to work, shops still open, life continues to move forward. The only difference is that everything here happens according to the weather. The people of Siberia do not fight the cold, they adapt to it, accept it, and shape their entire lives around it. As we move a little farther from Oymyakon, we arrive at one of Siberia's major cities, Yakutsk, a city built entirely on land that never fully melts. This frozen ground is known as permafrost, soil that remains frozen all 12 months of the year. Now imagine trying to build an entire city on ground that is permanently frozen. That's exactly why the homes and buildings in Yakutsk are not constructed directly on the earth. Instead, they are raised high above the ground on massive concrete pillars, so the heat from the buildings doesn't melt the ice underneath. Because if that happens, the entire structure could slowly sink into the ground. Even the water and sewage pipelines here are not buried underground. They run above the surface, hanging out in the open air. The pipes are wrapped in thick insulation to keep the water inside from freezing solid. At first glance, all of this looks strange and unusual. But in Yakutsk, it is simply a necessity for survival. During winter, the entire city transforms into something almost unreal. Yakutsk becomes covered in a thick blanket of snow and frozen fog. Sometimes the fog grows so dense that even nearby buildings completely disappear from sight. It feels as if the whole city is floating in the air. And yet, despite the brutal cold, tourists from around the world continue to visit this place. Because even in one of the coldest cities on earth, Yakutsk is still a fully functioning modern city where life continues against all odds. Everyday life here is completely different from the rest of the world. In local markets, fish are displayed frozen solid like pieces of stone. There's no need for refrigerators or freezers. The outside temperature takes care of everything naturally. But the real challenge in Siberia is distance. The cities are so far apart that simply traveling from one place to another can become a serious risk. Some roads only exist during winter, when rivers freeze solid and vehicles begin driving directly across the ice. One of the most famous routes here is the Kolyma Highway, the highway connecting Yakutsk to Magadan. This road is known as the Road of Bones. Stretching nearly 2,000 kilometers, it is one of the most isolated and dangerous highways on earth. If your vehicle breaks down here, help may take several days to arrive. That's why people in Siberia follow one important rule above all else: never travel alone, and never leave someone stranded on the road in extreme weather. Now, when we talk about Siberia's biodiversity, this region is surprisingly full of life despite its brutal climate. Its dense forests are known as the taiga, one of the largest boreal forest systems on Earth. These forests stretch for thousands of kilometers, from the Ural Mountains all the way to far eastern Russia. The region is dominated by cold-resistant trees such as pine, spruce, and fir, which remain green throughout the year and can survive even beneath heavy layers of snow. And hidden deep within these endless forests lives one of the most dangerous and powerful predators on Earth, the Siberian tiger. It is considered the largest tiger in the world, with some weighing up to 300 kilograms. Its body is covered with thick fur and layers of fat that help it survive temperatures as low as -30 degrees Celsius. This tiger roams across enormous territories, sometimes covering anywhere between 500 to 2,000 square kilometers. It is an expert hunter in snowy terrain and is rarely seen by humans because it prefers to live and hunt alone. But the Siberian wilderness is home to much more than just tigers. Animals such as Siberian deer, wild boars, moose, and musk deer are commonly found throughout these forests. Massive herds of reindeer, along with Arctic foxes, wolves, and giant brown bears are also part of this harsh ecosystem. Every creature here has adapted itself to survive one of the toughest environments on Earth. But survival in Siberia is never easy. Animals here battle the weather every single day. Thick skin, dense fur, and layers of body fat protect them from the freezing cold. Many species survive winter through hibernation, spending months asleep in protected shelters while using very little energy to endure the extreme cold and food shortages. Others rely on migration, traveling long distances as the seasons change in search of food and safer conditions. You may be surprised to know that there was once a time when Siberia was not covered in ice the way it is today. There were grasslands, forests, and massive animals roaming freely across the land. But over time, the climate began to change. Temperatures kept falling, and this entire region slowly transformed into a frozen world. Today, a huge part of Siberia is covered by something known as permafrost, ground that has remained frozen continuously for thousands of years and never fully melts. In some places, this frozen layer extends hundreds of meters deep beneath the surface, which means that whatever was buried inside this land thousands of years ago can still remain almost perfectly preserved today. This permafrost has essentially turned Siberia into a giant natural freezer. Perfectly preserved remains of massive prehistoric creatures like the woolly mammoth have been discovered here. Their bodies, fur, skin, and even the last food inside their stomachs were found frozen in remarkable condition. Scientists have also uncovered ancient horses, lions, and other prehistoric animals, not as fossils but as completely frozen bodies. Looking at them feels almost unreal, as if time itself suddenly stopped, trapping an entire lost world in ice. But hidden beneath this frozen ground is not just ancient wildlife, there may also be something far more dangerous. Locked inside the ice are ancient bacteria and viruses that have remained trapped for thousands of years. And despite being frozen for so long, some of them have not completely died. In fact, scientists have successfully reactivated certain ancient viruses inside laboratories. These are often referred to as zombie viruses because even after remaining inactive for thousands of years, they can potentially come back to life. And this is where the real concern begins. As global warming continues to increase and the permafrost slowly melts, these ancient microbes could eventually be released back into the modern world. Humanity has never faced organisms like these before, and that is exactly what makes this threat so frightening. After understanding Siberia's biodiversity and its frozen world, another side of this mysterious land begins to emerge, one that makes the entire story even more fascinating. About 1,500 kilometers southwest of Oymyakon lies a place that is not only important to Siberia, but to the entire planet itself. And that place is Lake Baikal. This is no ordinary lake. According to scientists, it was formed nearly 25 to 30 million years ago, making it one of the oldest lakes on Earth, home to some of the oldest fresh water in the world. There are several theories about how it formed. Some scientists believe it was created by tectonic plates slowly pulling apart, forming a massive rift valley. Others connect its origins to ancient volcanic activity. But what truly makes Lake Baikal extraordinary is not just its age, it is its depth, structure, and scale. Lake Baikal stretches roughly 636 kilometers in length and nearly 79 kilometers in width. Its maximum depth reaches around 1,642 meters, making it the deepest freshwater lake in the world. On average, the lake remains about 744 meters deep, but perhaps the most astonishing fact is this: Lake Baikal alone contains nearly 20% of the world's unfrozen freshwater supply. A massive portion of Earth's freshwater exists inside this single lake. More than 3,000 species live here, and most of them are found nowhere else on the planet. One of the most unique creatures is the Baikal seal, believed to be the world's only freshwater seal. But the true beauty of Lake Baikal appears during winter. As temperatures begin to fall, the enormous lake slowly freezes over. In some areas, the ice becomes so thick that vehicles can actually drive across it, and this ice is unlike ordinary frozen water. It appears crystal clear, almost like glass, glowing with deep shades of blue, so transparent that you can sometimes see far into the depths below. But as beautiful as this sight looks, it is equally dangerous. The ice covering the lake is not equally thick everywhere. Some sections are strong and stable, while others can suddenly crack without warning. That is why walking or driving on the frozen lake is always risky. Sometimes pressure builds between the water below and the frozen surface above, creating massive cracks that can spread in an instant, turning this breathtaking landscape into a deadly trap. Now, if you think Siberia is nothing but ice, freezing winds, and frozen ground, then you still haven't seen its true diversity. Because Siberia is not only a land of cold, it is also home to places where the heat hidden deep inside the earth bursts directly onto the surface. The greatest example of this is the Kamchatka Peninsula, located in the far eastern region of Siberia. Situated between the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Okhotsk, this area is considered one of the most active volcanic regions on Earth. More than 300 volcanoes exist here, and nearly 29 of them are still active today. This is a place where endless snowfields and glaciers exist side by side, with boiling lava rising from deep beneath the earth. One of the most famous volcanoes here is Klyuchevskaya Sopka, towering more than 4,000 meters high and erupting from time to time. The ash and smoke released during its eruptions can spread across hundreds of kilometers. But Kamchatka is not known only for volcanoes. The region is also filled with geysers and natural hot springs. Valley of the Geysers is one of the world's largest geothermal regions, where boiling water and steam continuously burst out from the ground. Here, ice and fire exist side by side, creating a landscape that feels almost unreal and deeply mysterious. And perhaps the most fascinating thing about this region is the way nature maintains balance here. On one side, the freezing cold tries to lock everything in ice, while on the other, the immense heat beneath the earth has the power to break it apart. If Siberia is viewed only as a land of ice and forests, then the picture remains incomplete. Because hidden within this enormous region are natural landscapes so unique that Siberia can feel like several different worlds existing at the same time. One of the greatest examples is the Putorana Plateau, located deep in the heart of Siberia. This is an extremely remote and isolated region where reaching even today is far from easy. The entire plateau was formed millions of years ago through massive volcanic eruptions. Over time, ice, water and wind carved the landscape into something extraordinary. Here, you can find towering cliffs, deep valleys and thousands of waterfalls crashing straight down from vertical rock walls. The region is so untouched and silent that you hear the sounds of nature far more often than the presence of humans. Another breathtaking natural wonder is the Lena Pillars, stretching for hundreds of kilometers along the Lena River. These giant stone formations rise like enormous pillars, as if an endless wall of rock had been built by nature itself. In reality, they were formed from an ancient seabed millions of years ago, which slowly rose above the surface over time. Some of these rock pillars stand more than 100 meters tall, and when sunlight strikes them, they appear even more mysterious and surreal. Siberia reveals yet another completely different side in the Altai Mountains. Here, snow-covered peaks, colorful rock formations, and vast valleys create landscapes unlike anything else in the region. Some areas are even called the Mars of Siberia, because the ground appears in shades of red, orange, and purple. These unusual colors come from minerals that slowly emerge to the surface over millions of years. And perhaps the most surprising thing is this: even in Siberia's freezing climate, there are places that resemble deserts. Now, if you truly want to experience the vast world of Siberia up close, there is one journey more iconic than anything else: the Trans-Siberian Railway. It is considered the longest railway route in the world, beginning from Moscow, the capital of Russia, and stretching all the way to the eastern city of Vladivostok, where the vast Pacific Ocean comes into view. The total length of this incredible journey is around 9,289 kilometers, and completing it takes nearly 7 days. But this is not just a train ride, it is an experience unlike any other. Over those 7 days, the train slowly leaves behind the heart of Russia and enters deeper and deeper into the endless wilderness of Siberia. Along the way, you witness snow-covered mountains, frozen rivers, endless forests, tiny remote towns, and silence stretching as far as the eye can see. Every few hours, the scenery changes completely, making it feel as though you are not traveling across one country, but through several entirely different worlds. And finally, we come to one of Siberia's most mysterious events, an incident that left the entire world searching for answers. The year was 1908, the date, June 30th. That morning, something extraordinary happened in the Tunguska region of Siberia, something that stunned scientists around the world. Without warning, a massive flash of light appeared across the sky, and moments later, a terrifying explosion shook the earth. The blast was so powerful that nearly 80 million trees across an area of about 2,000 square kilometers were flattened in the same direction, as if an invisible force had slammed them into the ground. The explosion was heard thousands of kilometers away, and for several nights afterward, strange glowing skies were reported across different parts of the world. According to scientists, the force of the blast was equal to nearly 15 megatons of TNT, hundreds of times more powerful than the atomic dropped on Hiroshima. But the most shocking part was this: no impact crater was ever found, and no clear remains of a meteorite were discovered either. It was as if something entered Earth's atmosphere, exploded in the sky, and completely vanished. Even today, scientists believe the event was likely caused by an asteroid or comet exploding in the atmosphere, what is known as an airburst. But the full truth behind the Tunguska event still remains a mystery. And that mystery continues to raise one haunting question: was this simply a natural disaster, or some kind of warning for humanity itself? Because such a massive explosion happened more than 100 years ago. Yet incredibly, no confirmed human deaths were reported, although countless innocent animals lost their lives in the blast. So friends, this was the incredible journey through Siberia, a land of frozen mysteries, terrifying extremes, and breathtaking beauty. By the way, which country are you watching this video from? And if you ever got the chance, would you want to visit Siberia and witness both its beauty and its terrifying side with your own eyes? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, share it with others, and help us reach 21,000 likes.